Time once again for Shelton City Council Looking Ahead with Shelton City Manager Mark Ziegler. And Mark, back-to-back business meetings for you. Coming up Tuesday, holiday kind of threw off your schedule a tad bit. So a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about seems a little bit redundant, but it's important that you follow your rules in the three touch. But we're on this meeting coming up on Tuesday night, we're going to focus on the new stuff, the business agenda. You have a public hearing and a couple of resolutions. Now, the public hearing is on Title II of the Shelton Municipal Code, and kind of like the item it's on the action agenda from last week, it's just cleaning things up in the code, correct?
Yeah, essentially. So Title II is administration. It basically establishes the departments within the city. So we have a little cleanup left over from back in 2018 when the commission form of government changed to the council form of government. And, as you do when you're editing some documents, you go in and you do a search all for whatever word it might be. In this case, it was probably commission, and you change it to council. But there's some ramifications, that based on RCWs, the Revised Code of Washington, on what happens with that change of government, the form of government. So under Title II, we established departments like Public Works and Community Development and the city clerk. And previously, some of those department heads were appointed by the commission. And under the council manager form of government, it's the manager's responsibility to appoint the department directors and manage those departments accordingly. So, and there's a couple other, cleanup items that could be addressed at the same time. So we're taking the opportunity to clean those up, take those to council for their consideration next Tuesday, the 18th.
Another item on the agenda has to do with Cascade Pacific Action Alliance. It's an agreement. This is all about opioids, right?
Yeah. I think most people are aware that there's been some settlements with opioid distributors and manufacturers, and those have trickled down from the state to local jurisdictions. This agreement is basically establishing that agreement with. So the agreement with the state, or the state's MOU, says that you have to basically establish these consortiums to manage the funds and put them out in the community to address opioid addiction. So this agreement established a consortium amongst several counties in Southwest Washington, and then kind of refining it down to Mason County, and as the city's the only incorporated city, Shelton's the only incorporated city in the county. Basically, we work with Mason County to receive those funds from the state and then distribute those funds to Mason County Public Health for opioid awareness and addiction services and things like that to put back into our community. So this just kind of formalizes the process to receive those funds from the state.
And that number's what, about 30 grand?
No, just over 10.
Over 10, okay.
Yeah. This is the second installment. The first installment was close to 20,000, so it's about 30 total between the two installments, but this one's just over 10.
All right, the third item on your business agenda seems to be the more, what do you call it? Heavy item, or the heaviest item?
Yeah.
Appointment of a deputy hearings director now, or hearings examiner, excuse me. Explain that one.
Okay, yeah. So under city code, we have processes that require a quasi-judicial hearing. And so the hearing examiner is an attorney that specializes in typically land use cases or land use law. And so things like conditional use permits, where it requires a higher level of review outside of city staff, based on the use and where it's located in the jurisdiction within the city, or things like abatement processes. So if the city has a code enforcement case that cannot be resolved through voluntary compliance with the property owner, the city can take that to a hearing in front of the hearing examiner, and they would rule on how that property may be cleaned up. Typically, they give the owner the opportunity to clean that up under a certain time frame, and if not, rule that the city can then abate that, and those charges can be levied against the property owner at that point because of public safety, health and sanitation, or just blight and nuisance, whether it's the property is used by squatters, it's been burned. Sometimes it's burned properties, the house burns, it's kind of gutted. The property owners don't take action on those, they don't board them up. They could become a public safety issue or public health issue, and we need assistance to move forward. So that's a process that takes a little time. And we have a primary hearing examiner, but they're really few and far between, really, these days. There's less hearing examiners out there performing these functions. So this deputy hearing examiner gives us the opportunity to have two of them at our disposal to be more responsive to our needs and address some of the issues in our community.
And this is an appointed position, and you do have to, they do charge a fee. They don't just do it for
absolutely. Nothing, right? Oh yes, absolutely right. Yeah.
And that's obviously in the budget, right?
Correct. Yeah. There is an application fee. So a conditional use permit has an application to it. So the property owner through that process would apply for that permit, pay the fee associated. It offsets the cost for that hearing. The abatement projects would be rolled into, most likely it's a lien on the property. The city goes through that abatement process. So we've had a few properties in town where we have gone in and abated the structure and tore them down. And then the true cost of that project, that abatement project, had been leaned against the property. So typically when the property sells at some point, the city receives those funds back. It's part of that as satisfying the lien. Typically it's through a tax sale to Mason County. But that's happened in the past. It takes a few years to get those funds back, but we certainly think it's a benefit to our community to address some of these derelict properties.
That's the business agenda for Tuesday night. You have the action agenda, which we've gone over last week, and you talked about on last Tuesday. You get the official go ahead on the Civic Center parking lot acceptance, the vacation of 5th Street between Grove and Coda. What else is there? More code.
Yeah, the
wordsmithing.
Yeah, Title II again. This is Title II for the police department. So just what we talked about before with the Public Works Department, Community Development Department. It was also the police department. It just kind of got ahead of the rest of them. So same title of municipal code, just kind of the same wordsmithing that's going on with the others on the business agenda.
And of course, your contract for city manager to be official.
That's right. Yes. We'll put pen to paper Tuesday night.
All right. So Tuesday night in the courtroom at the Shelton Civic Center, online via Zoom, or you can catch it on the city's YouTube channel. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.